What do we got there? 5:56. All right, how's it going, everybody? I'm keeping an eye on the clock so this thing don't shut off. I realized I lost a lot on the last video when I was getting into Officer McLennan and stuff like that with John and later on in life and stuff. I'm going to actually tell that story over again. Yeah, so today is Friday, October 7th, 2022. And yeah, we're heading for an Armageddon. Yeah, yeah, it's some crazy shit, man. You know, I have a friend of mine. Actually, I know quite a few Russian people, but some of these guys, you know, they in it, man. You know, they're out there like that. And just recently, I mean, I knew him when I was younger, and you know, I still bump into him and stuff. Maybe 4 months ago, I was talking to him about this whole thing, and he was telling me how, like, Putin and them, man. Like, yo, that shit's like pretty much like criminals, yo. Like, yeah. Like, you have what the IGOTs, the Argots, which are the billionaires. Then you have the Bratov, which is the Brotherhood, the thieves. Then you have Putin. And, like, they all made an agreement once upon a time. This is what this guy told me a couple months ago. They all made an agreement that the politicians will run the country. You know, thieves and all that will do their dirt, and we'll do it while the government turns a blind eye. And all this shit was figured out and discussed and made into a rule. And one dude that was a criminal all of a sudden wanted to become a politician. That's to do with the mercury poisoning with his daughter. There was a couple of them. There's a few of them, like 3 or 4 murders. And that's when it all started going wrong. Like, a couple of criminals started saying, yo, well, fuck that. I want to be a politician, yo. And, like, you know the rules. And, yeah, that's when that mercury poisoning stuff. Yeah, this dude, man. And he knows, man. Believe me, man. Yeah, it's a friend of mine. A long-time friend, man. And the way he was breaking it down to me, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, yeah, man, you know, poor Putin, man, that dude, he's backed up in a corner, man. Yo, he's thinking of legacy, and like he's been running that country so long, and this and that. Yeah, very dangerous, man. Set it off. Yeah, some crazy shit, man. Also, I want to tell you guys about a few more of my arrests, because it seems like you guys like my little arrests there in my last video with me getting arrested and stuff. And a few people, well, one guy, you commented that no, that's not true, that police officers do not need a college, and that's not true, sir. I'm sorry, I'm not going to pull your card and blow you up on here or nothing, but that's not true. They definitely need at least 60 college credits. If they have some kind of military background, there's a way in that way also, but no. The way you actually, your words were in your comment that they actually look for people with the lowest IQ to hire as a cop, like you cannot possibly believe that, man. Come on. Yeah, that's just ridiculous. And the fact you also said that I'm mentally ill, and yes, that's true. I've suffered from mental illness many shit, way back. Yeah, fuck yeah, PTSD, all types of shit. But I don't sit there harping about it. You know, I don't use it as a crutch or anything. All right, so now, where were we? All right, let me get to the stories. We've got 6 o'clock, boom. So 6:20, I'm going to shut this thing off, turn it back on. All right, let me see, where do I start? All right, I was pretty much growing up in New York. All right, wait, I wrote it down. Here it is. Mikey Seko, S-E-K-O. M-I-K-E-Y-S-E-K-O. He mentioned on my last video about Staten Island. He's like, yo, this, that, and I agree, man. Staten Island was fucking rough, man. Staten Island was wild. It was the forgotten borough. I remember early 90s. It was all over the newspaper and everything about corruption and the internal affairs. Like, they were actually just, like, taken off from the rest of the boroughs. Only thing connecting them was damn Verrazano Bridge and the Staten Island Ferry. So, yeah, they were able to get kind of wild out there. I do remember reading about that, and I myself will explain a situation I was in right now. I was living at 115 Stuyvesant Place in Staten Island, apartment 3H, and I was working at 51 Stuyvesant Place for HIV counseling and testing. The Department of Health building now. On the 4th floor, I used to draw blood, test people for HIV and AIDS. That's what I did for a living. No one else wanted to do it. I had, messing with blood and stuff back then. I said, yeah, I'll do it. So, there you go. Now, there was a counselor there, and his name was Vincent Asoga. I bumped into him maybe 8, 9 years ago, because this is going back to like 1994, 1995, this story. But I did bump into him about 7 or 8 years ago on 23rd Street around Park Avenue. And we talked as he walked down the block, and he turned into a building. He says he's like a director there or something like that now. Or he has a high position in this building where it's like children with like ALS and leukemia, like children with like shit that's gonna kill them, and he's always been a very respectful human that really cared about humanity. Anyway, Vincent Asoga was a man from Africa, from Nigeria, Africa. And he was in this country, he went to school in Texas and everything. We became extremely good friends. He was the counselor, I was the phlebotomist. And he was doing his wedding vows over again after 25 years of marriage and 2 children. Wait a minute, he might have 3 by it all said and done, because I think there was a 3rd child towards the end when we kind of went our own way. But what happens is, like, I was transferred to a different unit, actually, so we didn't work together anymore. I moved on to STD, he stayed there, something to that effect. So anyway, he invited me to his reception wedding, where he's going to remarry the same woman he's been married to for 25 years as a 25-year anniversary gift. And he was doing this, he lived at Park Hill with a Wu-Tang, the Wu-Tang Clan, Park Hill up Victory Boulevard. And across the street from those projects, Park Hill, you had like this building. It was like a recreational center, like a neighborhood center where priests could turn it into a church. And then you had Baptists and a lot of ceremonies going on. You would have old people who could go in there and play bingo and stuff like that. Like a city center for the projects in the neighborhood. Say someone's birthday, they could go in there, play music, have DJs, and have it. It's like a catering hall almost. And I was invited to go there. And I lived maybe a 5-minute cab ride away. So I said, yeah, sure, Vincent, I'd love to go there. So now everyone was African, from Africa, so they're all wearing like dashikis and stuff, So I figured I'd wear a 3-piece suit. It's kind of like a wedding and all. So I put on a nice 3-piece suit and all, And I take a cab, like I said, from my house to up Victory Boulevard to this catering hall, we'll call it. A recreational center, that's what we'll call it. And I'm out there hanging out, and it gets to be, I go to the place, I see Vincent, his wife, children, all his family and friends and everything, shaking hands, and, just vibing and stuff. So I said, let me go outside and smoke a cigarette. I go outside this place, smoke a cigarette. Like I said, right across the street is the projects. And it's dominantly black, like 99.9% black. That neighborhood, that area right where I was. Especially, it's a huge African community. Actually, Nigerian, a lot of Nigerian African dudes live right there and everything. So it's about 11 o'clock at night. Now I'm out in this parking lot, smoking a cigarette. And this little drug addict lady comes up to me. And she's got like lesions and sores, and her lips all dried out, and she's looking pretty haggard, like she's been through the ringer. Now she comes up, notices me standing there. She comes up to me and pretty much propositions me for sex as a prostitute. So I'm like, in my mind, but I don't want to be disrespectful to her, And I definitely don't want Vincent and that wedding reception, the reception hall, that's what we're going to call it. I didn't want the people in the reception hall to see me conversating with this person. It is what it is. That's how I felt at that moment. If I'm wrong, then I'm fucking wrong. If I'm right, I'm fucking right. I didn't want to be associated with the fucking person that looked like a drug addict that was very bad, like burned almost. The person looked like they were burned almost, like parts of skin were like yellow, like pink, and like splotches and scabs. I'm not lying. Curlers in her hair, tied up with like, I don't know. I believe it was like a t-shirt or like thermal under, like some weird, crazy shit. So, as this woman's asking me for a dowel, no, thank you very much, but no, I'm all right, I'm like looking at the door of this place, like hoping Vincent or anyone from that wedding don't see me. So then she says like this to me. She says, can you spare any change? So I look at the door one more time, make sure no one's around right there. I go in my pocket, I hand her whatever change I had in my pocket. I give the woman the change. All of a sudden, like the van door opens, like this van's parked there, and it's like whoop 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 whoop. It's like get on the floor, perp. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like I handed the woman some money, and all of a sudden there was like a van there. The door swung open. A bunch of police came out that door. A bunch of they came from like all over the fucking place. It threw me. It was raining that night too. It wasn't raining at that particular moment. The ground was wet. I had a 3-piece suit on. Mud puddle right there. Put me right in the mud puddle. Fucking handcuffed me and everything. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I didn't even have a chance to be like, what the fuck happened? Like seriously, I'm like, holy shit. So I go down to the precinct there near the ferry terminal and half a block from my house. And I'm in the precinct, they're doing the normal bullshit, fingerprints and all this and that, read you your rights and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but what am I being charged with? Like, what did I do wrong? Did I commit a crime? Like, what the fuck? And they're like, that lady that you were talking to, you gave her money to buy drugs. I said, I gave her money to buy drugs? I said, I gave her 75 cents, 85 cents. What the fuck kind of drugs can I buy with that kind of money? Like, no. I said, the woman came up to me. She looked destitute. She was, asked me for money. She was down on her luck. I didn't mention nothing about the prostitution or nothing like that, So I said, the woman asked me for some money. I went in she said she's broke, she's hungry, she's starving. I said, I went in my pocket and I handed her some change. And then all of a sudden you guys grabbed me. That's what happened, officer. It's the God's honest truth. So they say, well, we know that woman, she's a steerer. She gets drugs from people, white was the word they used. She'll get the money from the white people pretty much, go to the drug dealers, then bring it back. Especially the fact that I'm wearing a suit and all, I get it. But I told them, I said, look, I gave that woman like 85 cents. To the best of my knowledge, she's broke and starving. So the only money she should have is the money in her fucking hand, which is like 85 cents. Like, what, did she have hundreds of dollars on her? Or even $10? Like, what the fuck? I gave her change, man. I thought I was doing something good here. So anyway, I went through the system. I think it was like 30-something hours. I winded up coming out down at the other end of the court system, went through the whole system and everything, got a desk appearance ticket. Right? That was on a Friday night. So then Monday rolls around and I go to work and I see Vincent. He's asking me, yo, what happened? How come you broke out? Like, yo, the party was just getting started. We had a lot of games and, you should have hung out. It was a couple of cute girls, basic stuff. I said, dude, I got arrested. Like, I stepped outside, I was smoking a cigarette, and like, I explained to him what happened. He all know that. So when the day came for me to go to court and all, I had pictures of me at this wedding reception. I even had proof that they were remarrying and that I was on the guest list, and so the whole thing was dropped. And I just look at it as a bad day. You got to realize I had a dog in my apartment, right? And I had a fucking alligator in my living room and a big kiddie pool. And I had nobody I could call. Sammy disappeared at that point. Yeah, true story. I had no one I could call or anything. I was just sitting in the jail cell thinking, oh, my poor dog, man. Like, shit, like, I hope the alligator and the dog don't, like, start figuring out who's hungrier, I mean, alligator was small at that point, maybe 2.5, 3 feet, but still. That was sad. Of course I got home and I had to pick up dog shit. I felt horrible, but I did nothing wrong. And that's just being in the wrong place at the wrong fucking time. Like, honestly, it was a drug sting, like for crack cocaine. Like, that place is riddled with the shit. So they were trying to get some of it off the street. I just happened to be right there at the right. It's just like walking down the street and a brick falls in your fucking head. I could tell you another one. It's not a criminal thing, but just to talk to you about having a bad day. I was reading this book. We had a book club. Me, this girl I was with, and my son. We would read all the classics. And then we'd sit down, like, I'd read the book, I'd pass it on to my son, he'd read it, pass it on to my girlfriend, she'd read it, this, that. And then we'd all sit down and talk about this book. And that's what we were doing. So it was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I'm reading this book, right? I'm at work, punching out from work. So I said, yeah, let me read the book a little bit. You know, I punch out with my hand scan at work. I'm reading a book. I go down the stairs instead of taking the elevator. Yo, I missed the first fucking step. I fall down 12 fucking stairs. Boom, 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 boom. I tear my fucking hamstring and everything. I'm out of work for like a month and a half. I lose all my sick time, vacation time, everything. A bad day, you know? Yeah, it fucking happens. You gotta shake this shit off and keep it moving. You know, I mean, that's my opinion. Honestly, I'd like... You guys want to know how I swallow shit? That's what I do, man. You know, like, you ever hear that saying about, like, people renting space in your head? Like, yo, like, yeah, like, it's, nah, you can't do that shit. Like, if you harbor shit inside and just resent shit, and believe me, I've been there. I was young. I didn't always have the knowledge I have today. But, yeah, honestly, you sit there and you, but like they say with the Irish people, I'm Irish. Pretty much. I mean, there's a little bit here and there, German, Dutch, stuff like that. But basically, my mother was 100% Irish. My father had a little Irish in him. I got a clover on my arm. It's pretty much that way. So they bottle shit up and harbor it inside until they explode, you know. And yeah, that's not healthy. I've learned that a long time ago, man. If it's something you can't fix or fucking work with, keep it moving, man. Why waste time on it? Why waste energy on it? Like, it's like an astrologer. Like, why is that star over there and that one not? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who gives a fuck, man? How many years do we actually got on this earth? I mean, that's always been my opinion. I just roll shit off like a duck. You know, when a duck gets wet, he shakes himself off, he's not wet no more. Like, you really gotta you gotta roll with the punches, you know? Chin up, chest out, yeah. Fuck it, man. Even when you're dragging your guts fucking behind you, man. Even when you're dragging your guts behind you. True fucking story, man. You gotta, you know, don't let them know that they're getting to you like that. Honestly, don't let them see you show a sign that they're fucking getting to you. The best thing to do is just handle that shit like a champ, man. You know, like they say, revenge, the best revenge is living well, man. Don't let no one know that they're fucking getting you down, man. Can't do that. You can't, yeah. That would be my thing to you guys. So yes, there I was wrongfully accused of some crazy shit up there in Park Hill out in Staten Island. Like I said, this guy, Mikeyseko, he mentioned how Staten Island's fucked up, and I agree, man. Staten Island's a whole different animal. And I don't believe them cops did anything wrong. They just didn't have time to sit there and really figure out my story. Like, it's not all about me. You get me? They didn't have time to sit there and actually say, okay, this guy, he's just at this wedding. Just throw him in the fucking car and figure it out later. We're on this shit. We got to get these motherfuckers. That's what the cops were thinking. I was just collateral damage. Yeah, it happens. But, yo, you got to be stronger than that. You got to be better than that, man. You got to be bigger than that. For real. That's my... you know, Al Sharpton once said this. How do you say it? I don't want to go twisting the man's words up at all. People be going, oh, Al Sharpton never said that. But no, what was it again? All right, if I knock you down on the floor today, that's my fault. But if you're still on that floor tomorrow, that's your fault. And in some weird way, that always stuck with me. I remember that shit from like 20, 30 years ago, man. But yeah, Al Sharpton, I remember him saying, I don't know where he got it from, but yeah, 100% Al Sharpton, I remember it. Yeah. And that's deep, man. That shit was deep to me. And I strongly believe in that. Now, here's another situation. You know, because a lot of you guys are like acting like, oh, well, you never had it with, the police like that. You think those little stories I was just talking about is the only encounter I've ever had with police in my life? No. And I don't believe them police officers did anything wrong. If anything, maybe I'm like being saved from like a shootout that's about to fucking happen. You know what I mean? Who knows? I mean, yo, it happened. What the fuck am I going to do about it, bitch? I lost 30 hours of my life sitting in a fucking jail cell on a Friday. My whole weekend was ruined. I had to go back and work Monday. Yeah, it's almost like jet lag and shit, brushing my teeth and scrubbing myself clean from the fucking bullpens and shit. Yeah, my weekend was ruined. Shit happens. It's life. Let me switch this off, turn it back on, people. Alright, now it's back on. Now here's another one. I used to live at 728 Costa Street. That's up in the South Bronx. Yeah, South Bronx. I remember I was in South Bronx High School when that song came out with KRS-One. South Bronx. I remember that shit. Anyway, getting back to the South Bronx. I was living at 728 Costa Street, the South Bronx. And there's Fale and Fox Street. These are some of the most notorious heroin drug dealing blocks, like in the boroughs, probably on the East Coast, for Christ's sake. At one point, yeah, there's more murders there than anywhere, especially around the point of time when I was there. Very bad, man. It was a legendary heroin spot, you know. The junkies, everything, people getting killed. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know the Lower East Side, know it real well. Believe me, I know all about the Lower East Side, legendary shit down there too. But this is Fale and Fox Street. Y'all know about it if you know about heroin drug dealers. Hell, even before that, you had, what was it, fucking little Georgie Rivera and them up there jumping around. But this is 2002, 2003. I'm living up there on Hunts Point, living there. I could afford to rent. A friend of mine owned a house, 728 Costa Street. I said, yeah, Rob, you can live upstairs there, you know, yeah, give me a couple $100 a month. So I'm like, fuck yeah. Well, I lived there. Now, Melissa, the girl I was living with, she had 2 children, and I had my child. My child was barely able to really walk at that point. Never had him in a stroller or nothing, always carried him on my shoulders. The minute he took one step, that's it, he was walking. I raised him on my own. But at this particular moment in my life, I was living with this girl, Melissa, who had 2 children, and I had my 1 child. And every day I'd be coming from the 6 train, stop. I'd be crossing under the Bruckner, going by this strip joint. There's a couple of stripper places. I think they're all gone now. But yeah, and then I would go down, and then right there, you Fale Street and all that. That's where all the heroin is and everything. Real bad, fucked up shit, man. I mean, you know, I used to hear machine gun fire at night, man. But anyway, I'm walking by there, and the cop, hey, yo, come here, what are you doing up here? I'm like, what do you mean? Well, like I was racially profiled. Yeah, I was a victim of racial profiling. Well, what are you doing up there? I went, yeah, I live right there. No, shit, yeah, right. You know, what do you got in your pockets? I'm like, yo, I got kids with me, man. Because Melissa, she worked for SOBs, Sounds of Brazil. It's a club down on Varick Street. And she was the head bartender there. A lot of bands play there, a lot of reggae music, salsa, merengue, all that stuff down there. Jazz, hip-hop. It's a pretty big place. It's a pretty well-known place, SOBs. Yeah, Melissa. So, this cop is asking me, you know, you don't live up here. Checks all my pockets and everything. I said, look, I got my ID. I had my ID at that point. It said on it that I lived right there. And you see my picture and everything. I gives it back to me, all right, you know, this, that, let's just go. I swear, it's like, yo, just put it this way, he kept doing that shit to me. Like, I can understand maybe once you see a white boy, especially with a bunch of children, and you're like, what the fuck is this guy doing up here? Of course, you stopped me once, you asked me for my ID, cool, I get it. But like that same cop, I don't remember his name. It was a Spanish name, but the dude looked Chinese. And he was short. Every time he saw me, like, I'm like, yo, come on, man. Like, at one point, I remember I got mauled by a pit bull. My hand was all fucked up. It was this hand. So you could actually still see the surgery and shit goes all the way through. I had a lot of little bones and tendons and shit they had to fix in my hand. I had an operation. So I had this hand in a sling. I had my child here. And the 2 other children in front of me. I'm walking, you know, I'm like, come on, man. You fucking for real, bro. I'm like, yo, just Wednesday. And then I realized, wait a minute, and like he actually was like this. Like enjoying it, like savoring an amount that how I had to switch the kid from one hand to the other. And I realized, don't give it to him. And I just, boom, here you go, here's my ID, yeah, okay, yeah, have a good day. And I walked, and because I realized, man, that dude's a dick. He's a fucking dick. It got nothing to do with him being a fucking police officer at all. He's a dick. The guy's a fucking dick. If anything, he became a cop so he could be a dick. But the guy's a dick. He'll be a dick if he's a doorman. If he's a cab driver, he'll be a dick. If he works in a delicatessen, he'll probably be spitting on your fucking sandwiches. The guy's an asshole. He's of a low caliber of a person. It's nothing to do with the police officers. That one particular person, I mean, I swear, 5, 6, 7 fucking times this guy checks my ID. And then, God forbid, if I don't see him for a month or 2, yeah, he'll get me again. Yeah, it goes on and on and on. And I get it, but the guy's a dick. It's just a hurdle I gotta hop over to go home. You know what that is? That is the price I have to pay for living in that cheap neighborhood. Yeah, For living in my friend's apartment, just a couple of $100 here and there, that is part of the price of my apartment. That's how I write it off in my head. After that, I see that guy, I'm smiling. I don't even say hello to him. How you doing? You take care of yourself. Peace. You know, like, don't let him know he's fucking with you. I mean, yeah, I get it, man. You know, a lot of you guys think, oh, this, that, and blah, 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 blah. But I'm just simply saying, don't put on my page any disrespectful stuff towards police. I'm sorry. I don't share that view as you. I don't. Then a bunch of other people, oh, well, you never this, that. Like, I'm like standing up for cops or something like that. I'm just simply saying I don't disrespect police officers. If they arrest me, they got me. I'm as friendly as could be. I mean, you don't sit on their lap telling them your life story and all the crimes you committed and telling all your friends or nothing like that. You know, you just be my name, my address, and that's it, man. You know, you keep it easy and friendly. Like, the more you act like an asshole, the more you're going to be treated like one. I mean, personally. And I know, like, you people also, oh, well, you're white and this and that. I didn't bring this. You guys started this shit on my page about all cops are bastards and this and that. And I'm just simply saying, let me do a video on that. Because I don't feel that way about police officers. I'm sorry. That's my personal opinion. I don't share the same values in those areas as you. I don't. I've had shitty situations. I've just explained shitty situations. I mean, yes, I'm still alive. I didn't get shot or something like that, but I've had some shitty fucking situations. But I don't blame like the whole police force. I just look at that guy. Like, he's short, he's small. He sees an attractive fucking man walking down the street. He was probably disheveled by the whole situation. He wanted to fuck with me. Poke the bear, poke the bear. No, it's human nature, man. But that ain't got nothing to do with his job or his job title. That his job might make it so he could be in my face like that without getting punched in the fucking face. But other than that, no, that dude will be a dick no matter what he's doing. He riding a bicycle, he'll be a dick. Yeah, he can work in a chicken store, he'll be a dick. Stick him anywhere in the fucking world, he's a dick. He's a dick from birth. Something tragic must have happened to that dude and turned him into a dick. But it's not the whole police force, not even his friends or nothing. They don't bother me like that. It's just one particular person. And like I've said, I've had other situations. I've been thrown down in the mud and stuff like, yo, the world ain't yours, man. You guys just roll with the punches and keep it fucking moving, man. Like, not everything's about you, man. I learned that in my life early on, man. Yeah, I've taken a lot of fucking beatings in my life, left and right. Cops, fucking criminals, fucking parents, like anything and everywhere, man. I'll tell you, I learned a lot out there, man. Straight up and down, man. Yeah. There's some other thing I wanted to tell you, but I can't even remember. That is what it is. That's a damn good episode, huh? Armageddon. You know, I still never told you the damn McLemara, Officer McLemara story. So let me tell you. Also, I'm going to show you a picture of how old I was when I was living in Staten Island when the cops, like, threw me in the mud, arrested me. You see a picture. This girl took this picture of me. She was into photography. She took some real nice pictures of me around 93, 94 or something like that. So those pictures, that's how I remember times in my life, through women and experiences, relationships and stuff like that with girls and stuff. Yeah, it's easier that way, you know. Like, I can't just think of the year and think this and that, you know, because I've been writing graffiti the whole time, so it's not easy for me to say when was it that it must have been when I was writing graffiti, because I've been writing graffiti straight. Like I said, no one else has done that. Without taking a fucking break, no one else has done that. Like 40-something fucking, well, yeah, 41 years. Alright, McLemara. Officer McLemara, he was a cop that was in John Jay Park. After, like I said, after that situation with Williams, my last video, I was talking about McLemara and John. Well, he was a cop that would patrol John Jay Park during the summer, well, actually all year round. But in the summer, there's a swimming pool in there, so a lot of people would be there, and you would need police. And like I explained, he caught John stealing a battery to a car once, and he was always a very nice dude, man. I remember him even buying me and John slices of pizza. Yeah, his name was McLemara, Officer McLemara. And I also remember when JJ had died. in a motorcycle accident. He was on a stolen motorcycle being chased by the police, and he died in an accident. So I remember, like, McNamara, after that, like, he was kind of different. Like, he was sad. Like, he was crying, man. Like, yo, he fucking, like, that shit kind of fucked my head up. I was like, wow. You know, after John's dead and all, and, like, I always looked at this guy as, like, a strong, you know? And, yeah, he was saddened by it. I mean, he wasn't like, but, you know, like, I could tell, like, his whole thing was different. And he started telling me about, when am I going to get my shit together? And kind of like telling me, like, if only I knew what he knew, I wouldn't be doing this. That, like, you're wasting your life and you're acting like an asshole for no fucking reason. Go to school, get a good education, do something with yourself. Like, he would give me that talk. And after that, he shortly got transferred out of that. I don't believe he retired. I think he actually got transferred to a different precinct or something. And I actually did a mural for that same police officer in John Jay Park, right next to the swimming pool. That is the wall we would hop over to get into the swimming pool. I did a big picture of the cop. He's got a red mustache, a red beard. He's got his hat on. It says the 19th precinct on it. I believe I wrote my full name, Robert Dyer. I ain't give a fuck if I get pinched for it. That was my friend, you know? And kind of like a memorial, like a sending off gift to him. It was in that Espo book. You know, the Espo book that I'm always talking about, running down. I wouldn't say I run down the Espo book. It's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. I always say that. But it's full of shit. But anyway, in that Espo book, The Art of Getting Over in the Millennium, there's a picture of McNamara. That's the painting I painted of him on that wall. And I remember him telling me all that, like, yo, you got your shit together. Like, how many people? Like, I think it was like 3-4 people fucking killed over at one point. That's when my wife was like, yo, Rob, man, nah, like, come with me up to the Bronx now, or I don't want to know you no more. That's, you know, before I was married to her. She was, like, breaking up with me if I don't leave. Like, it was really bad. So, yeah, after JJ died, so I did actually leave that neighborhood, go up to the Bronx. I went to Lehman College. I got my certificate for phlebotomy to draw blood, nationally able to draw blood. And from there, I started working for the Department of Health, and I got married. So then many years passed by. Well, just put it this way. I'm married, working for the Department of Health. I'm down on 14th Street with my wife. And I bumped into Officer McNamara. And he looks, you know, he said, you staying out of trouble? I said, yes. As a matter of fact, I said that shit with pride. Like I was proud. I said, yes. As a matter of fact, I got married. This is my wife, and I work for the Department of Health. I'm a phlebotomist now. Yeah, and I remember him like cracking a little bit of a smile and all, you know. And that was it. You know, we kept moving and shit, but yeah, that was pretty cool, man. I wonder if he ever thought, like, wow, maybe he had something to do with me changing my life around. But I stopped being a criminal. I stopped running around like in your face type shit. I still fucked up. Like, still till this day, I can't buy a roll of toilet paper. I just can't. Like, I'm screwy like that, man. I just can't physically purchase a roll of toilet paper. I just can't. Like, I'll ask my neighbor for one. I'll steal one from a restaurant, bathroom, or whatever, man. I just can't, man. I ain't gonna buy no paper to wipe my ass. I can't do it. Take care of yourselves, people.